Good morning, all. It is the morning of the 8th of March, 2024. It's around 10:30 or so in the morning. Um, I have been working on my gas tank. I got videos that I made last night because I sprayed primer on it, galvanized primer, so I can now paint over it. So the last thing I'm going to do there is paint it here in a few minutes so it can dry for a few hours. And if all goes well, I may try to install it back in the car this afternoon. I've had a full 5 days of curing for the sealer, so I'm pretty sure that's ready to go. I'm still trying to find a solution for the carburetor linkage. I'm working through that. Haven't quite got there yet. I still have a solution where I can drive it around the block if I get to that point first before I solve the linkage problem overall. Did a little more work on dash components, cleaning things and whatnot. And I'm dealing with an issue with my 2011 Lincoln where the electric fan isn't coming on. I replaced the fan assembly yesterday. That was a $200 waste of money because that wasn't the problem. The fuse is fine, so I'm going to let my mechanic take it from here and figure out what's wrong. Hopefully, it's not an expensive module or something. Um, so, my goals today are primarily to finish up with that gas tank and possibly install it in the car. Anything else that I do will be filler work, like finishing up work on the dash assembly, that kind of stuff. I think that's it for now. Oh, well, this is a snippet that I'm going to incorporate into videos that I do tomorrow, the 8th of March. It's the 7th today, but it's late in the day. I just got home from work, but I have enough time to paint my tank. I discovered that it's galvanized metal. I should have known that, but I've never done this kind of stuff before, and you can't just use regular paint on it. It won't stick. It won't stay. It'll peel off. So I had to go to Home Depot where I found some special primer paint that will work with galvanized metal. So I'm going to cover it with that. And then probably tomorrow morning or the next opportunity I get, I'll go ahead and cover that with black paint. Probably a little more than I need to. And upon further reflection, I probably would have been better off just painting the entire exterior of the gas tank with that same sealant that was on the inside. But it didn't occur to me to do that. So, and since I did do some sanding on it, I have to do something to protect the metal because I'm sure I've destroyed some of the galvanizing, protection that was on there originally. So, um, I'll show you what I bought here as soon as I find it. Let's see. Here we go. Full galvanizing compound, it's called, but it's designed to work on galvanized metal. It's basically a primer. And I could just paint this and be done with it, leave that and not even put paint over the top of it. But since I bought paint, uh, I'll probably go ahead and paint it too. I don't know, maybe that's overkill. In fact, I'm sure it's overkill, but we'll see. Maybe I'll be satisfied with the way it looks with just this stuff painted on it. I also got myself some masks this time too, since I'm going to be painting inside my shed. And this is working out real well. Today especially, the heater's doing a good job. It's 66 degrees in here, 65% relative humidity. And actually the tank has passed its 96-hour cure time now. And I was already feeling this exterior part where I brushed some of that sealer on. It feels really nice. It's hard, shiny, smooth, and not tacky at all. It's been that way for several days actually. And I'm sure the inside of the tank is cured as well. So I should be able to install this tank back in the car in the next day or two. So I'm really excited about that. So I'm going to suspend this tank. There's a conveniently located little hole here on the side, a hook place. So kind of like a meat hook. I got this hanging from my rafters here. I'm just going to hang it right there so I can paint it more easily and get all the surfaces at one time. All right, you can see my tank is now suspended from the ceiling. I got kind of some padding down here for a soft landing in case that gives out. It shouldn't. I taped off the openings again, not to seal them per se, just to keep the paint from getting inside the tank, and covered up my little vent tube here as well, so no paint can clog that up. And this technically is not prepared completely like it should be technically, but I'm not worried about that because there really wasn't that much rust out here. I covered the rust. Don't like it when phone calls come in and interrupt my taping here, but anyway. So I'm not worried that this thing is not perfectly prepared and every little bit sanded down and all that because I was really just concerned about the areas that had surface rust, which I have sealed with that gas tank sealer. So Now I'm just going to spray that Rust-Oleum on it after I put my mask on. I got to close that door too to keep the temperatures up in here, and see what it looks like. My voice might be a little bit muffled. Got this mask on, but I'm very unimpressed with these spray cans. They're very frustrating. They plug up almost immediately, both of them, and I was shaking the hell out of them, turning them upside down, spraying them out again, and shaking them like crazy as I'm spraying, and I couldn't even get all the way around this thing one time before they're both useless. So I put both of the spray caps inside paint there to get them working again, but that's very frustrating. Not impressed. Okay, my voice isn't too muffled behind this mask, but you can see that my gas tank has been primed. I applied several coats, and it looks pretty good to me. So from what I can see online and reading the cans, I should wait at least 12 hours, maybe up to 24 before I paint, which is hard for me to wait that long because I was really hoping to install this tomorrow on Friday, the 8th of March, but I may not be able to do that. I may have to wait until at least tomorrow afternoon to paint this, and then of course I got to let the paint dry as well, or at least a couple hours. So anyway, I'm getting there. I'm just getting a little impatient now because it's been such a long process getting to this point, but I'm almost there. And even though I let this thing cure for 96 hours plus, I decided to open the holes back up since I'm not installing it yet. Might as well let it cure that much longer. That certainly can't hurt the sealer inside. Apologies if my voice is muffled with this mask on, but this is one coat of the black paint. It came out pretty good, I thought. I used up the whole can just about. I have a second can, so after a while here, I'll put a second coat on. I might as well. I bought the stuff. I think it looks pretty good. I'm kind of glad I'm painting it now. Looks more like a finished product. So that should definitely protect it from rusting on the outside after the galvanized primer and all that. So looking good. All right, the second coat of black paint is now applied. So I am basically done with this gas tank. All I got to do now is just let it hang here for a few hours. And if all goes well, I may try to install this later today in the car. It's supposed to rain tomorrow afternoon, Saturday afternoon, so I'd really like to get it in there before then. So, and the weather's nice today, so I'm going to try and get this in the car today if I can. Not going to rush it, but I would like to get it in. So what I'm going to do right now is remove the tape from the openings to allow the interior to continue to vent and cure, even though it should be completely done. I'll peel that tape off of the vent tube later and install the vent tube on top of the tank later when it gets closer to installation. And I also need to tape the insulating blanket onto the tank too that I saved in the trunk of the car. I think that goes right there on that part of the tank. And that's it. So this has been a long process getting this tank ready. But a new one would have been about $500, a gallon smaller, no vent tube. This one I probably spent about $125 just on supplies and countless hours of labor, but I call it a labor of love, so it was worth it. I think it came out beautifully. All right, I've been doing things for a couple of hours now. My tank is just looking gorgeous. I'm just really excited about it. I should be able to actually take it to my car and maybe install it in another hour or two. Of course, I got to put my new sending unit in there first, and I got to uncover the vent tube here and put the vent tube in. One of the things I did while I was gone is I had to go and buy a new tap and die set from Harbor Freight. I had an old one that hand me down from my dad's, but this piece here, this handle, was broken, so that's going to go in the trash. That's really all I needed. I already had a. I always forget which one's the tap and which one's the die. I think what I have is the die, the one that's cutting new threads. I've never actually used one of these things before, a tap and die set. So I got everything set up here. This is my throttle rod that I'm having to use. I'm going to have to adapt it to work on my car. Unfortunately, the diameter is too big, so I'm actually going to have to drill out the holes at both ends to use this, but I got to do what I got to do. But what I'm really amazed at is how easily this thing cuts threads. I mean, this is a new experience for me. So I really like this tool too, how it makes sure it stays centered and it's all locked in place, and it's just really easy how it cuts the threads. I mean, it's just cutting it like butter. I didn't expect it to be this easy. Like I said, I've never used one of these before, so pretty cool. I need to add about 1.5 inches of threads, I believe, to make this work in my application. I made sure I've cut enough threads for it to work on the carburetor, and I do have enough threads. I put a nut on here because I'm going to cut this off with my die grinder here with a cutting disc on the end there, and that way I can clean up the threads with this nut before I try to put the adapter fitting on there, which is sitting around here somewhere. Where did it go? Here it is. This part here, I didn't want to use that to chase the threads with, so I used a regular nut. So anyway, we'll see how this goes. I'm going to try to cut it off. Hopefully it'll go smooth. I ended up having to use my other grinder, my beefy one. That just made quick work of this. I now have my adapter on here. It works very nicely. So now the length is good for the carburetor that I need. Now I've got to drill holes slightly bigger where these go. And then I've got little cotter keys that came with this to hold it in place. So I'm probably going to take that bracket off the car. I don't think I have an extra one here to drill into. I'm going to preserve the original hole for the smaller rod that came with the car originally and just drill a bigger hole for this further back. Actually, it's going to be this end. I'll show you what I mean when I have the bracket off. All right, I've changed my mind. This is the original hole right here. I was thinking about drilling one right there, but that might be okay to do that, but I think it'd be safer to just drill out that hole. I mean, if I ever needed to go back to the original size, I'm sure I could find another bracket from another old Lincoln somewhere if I had to. And this is from my new carburetor. It goes on like this. So that hole right there at the top of my thumb, I will drill that one out as well. I'm just going to make it just big enough for that rod to fit into. So I'm going to select my drill bit and take care of that. Okay, I just drilled out this hole a little bit bigger, testing the fit now with my new rod, and it fits in beautifully, just like it should. And I'll repeat that same step on this piece. All right, at long last, I have a solution for my carburetor throttle linkage rod here. There's the new one in place. It looks beautiful. I had to shorten it by about 4 inches and cut new threads, as you know. And I had to drill out the holes where the ends go a little bit at both ends, but they fit now perfectly. Works very nicely like it's supposed to. No binding, no nothing, so everything looks great. The only thing that I'll have to do eventually when I want my cruise control to work is figure out a solution for this to go around here. And it can be made out of metal or whatever, it doesn't really matter. Maybe even a washer I can figure out how to attach to the side of this rod. That's obviously not a priority right now. I don't need cruise control, although eventually it would be cool to have it since the car came with it. But right now, I have my throttle rod in place. Everything's adjusted correctly, so that's great. I'm happy about that. So I'm going to do a little cleanup here, reset, and it may be time to install that gas tank. We'll see. I'm glad I happened to look at the other side of the carburetor. My little temporary solution here has already failed. I'd have gas pouring out of there if I were to start the car right now. I just ordered something from a carburetor shop near Atlanta. They're sending me a plug that's going to fit on this side. So in the meantime, what I'm going to have to do is just get a short piece of hose and put a bolt in the end of it or something and just put that on there temporarily. All right, folks, now that I'm done with that carburetor linkage finally, I went back here and put my bare hands on this tank. It's been 4 hours since I put the black paint on it, and it feels good. It's not sticky at all. I think it's ready to go. I really do. So I'm going to put the vent tube back in place, and I'm going to install the sending unit, and then I'm going to take it to the car. All right, this time it's lesson learned time again, unfortunately. I was checking the tubes to make sure that they're actually open, the vent tube on top. The longer one that connects here and goes around, I can force air through it with my pancake air compressor, no problem. However, when I put that same fitting over here to force air into it, it don't go. That tells me that as careful as I tried to be, as hard as I tried to protect the end of that tube inside the tank, I failed. I suspect what happened is that when I pulled the thing back out, it probably pulled sealer with it, and it just kind of settled right here in the bend or something like that, because I can't seem to get past that bend anymore to get in there. So basically, I've sealed off the vent tube. As hard as I tried to keep it open, it's such a tiny little opening. I was not successful, I don't think. It's possible, since I got this little loop here, that I could cut through that carefully and open it right here and leave enough sticking out that I could attach to it with a hose. But I don't think I'm going to worry about that. The replacement tanks don't even have this vent tube on them, so I'm hoping that's not going to be a mistake. If it turns out to be a problem, then I may have to take the tank off again at some future time and do something about it. But for now, I'm going to leave it as is. I'll go ahead and put the rest of the tubing on it just so it's in place, and then I'm going to proceed with getting ready to install it in the car. Okay, you can see the vent tube there in place, even though it's basically useless, just for decoration at this point. Getting ready to put my new sending unit in. Comes with a new gasket to seal it right there, a nice new shiny retaining ring, and the sending unit itself. So we'll just carefully get this in the hole. Okay, maybe I shouldn't be trying to do this with one hand. I better not. I'm just illustrating that this is indexed. There are index tabs right here on the side that fit in the slots right here, so you can't get it in wrong. I guess you could possibly get it upside down, but that'd be kind of hard to do. All right, my new sending unit is in place. I just used a flat little punch to lock it in place. There's no need to hit it too hard. It's plenty secure. I took a look inside the tank too before I locked it in place and saw the float and the pickup screen right on the bottom of the tank, right where it should be. So that apparently is in good shape. But now I got to get the insulating blanket to put it on the outside here. I almost forgot too. I have to put a new O-ring inside the filler neck hole here, and I'll put a little dab of Vaseline on the inside too to lubricate it, so the tube can slide in there a little easier and not pull the seal out. Hey folks, I just wanted to wrap up this video series. I had a job I had to go do, so the day was getting short, and I decided I better not rush it, because then I make mistakes or hurt myself or break something. So the gas tank is ready to be installed. All I got to do is just take it out to the car. I've got the straps ready to go and ready to just hoist it up in there. But I'll wait till I'm fresh and the weather cooperates again. The weather's going to be unstable for a few days again, so I don't know if I'll be able to do it tomorrow, Saturday, or not. I forgot it was actually Friday today. But anyway, have a good evening. It's been a fun journey.